Hey everyone, welcome back. Part two, so kind of jumping in here, but just a refresher. We're going to continue the journey with Docker and the MassTransit Platform, kind of some of the latest edge bits that have literally been built over the last 24 to 36 hours. On the previous episode, we kind of got together, we took the existing services that were in our Twitch service that used to have their own Windows service, or not Windows service because I'm obviously not on Windows, but had their own program service, doing all their configuration, all the setup, a lot of cut and paste. You know, when we first built this sample, we cut and paste a lot of that together. Replace that with a single startup class that we're now able to register, build into a Docker image using the MassTransit/platform based Docker image, and fired it up and had the same capabilities we had. So we did that for both the warehouse and the sample service. And in addition to simplifying the code, it also gives us some capabilities that are actually really cool. So with these running, if just to kind of catch up from where we were, the Docker Compose up is already running right where we left it off last time. The services are sitting there running. I have Quartz running. I have RabbitMQ running. MongoDB, Redis. I guess I'm not using Redis anymore. Redis, MongoDB, the warehouse. I'm able to go to my sample app that is unmodified. I didn't modify the API front end. I didn't modify the sample app. I'm able to fire off orders, process them through the existing system. It's using message data. It's using batch messaging. I mean, everything that was there is working as it was. So yeah, so far so good. Everything's up and running. We're seeing the same type of behaviors we saw before. Everything completes. Pretty exciting. So I wanted to pick up from there and kind of make a part two of this, mainly because I just needed a break from the first session. But I wanted to kind of show where we could get some additional value out of this. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop the Docker Compose that we have, which is going to kill all of these things. I mean, I love that I just run one statement and it brings up my entire environment. I used to love Homebrew, and Homebrew is still cool for like certain things, but like now, why would I ever brew install Mongo or brew install Redis? I mean, I can just fire this up in Docker, keep it compartmentalized, have different container images for different apps. I don't cross-contaminate all my data. I like that I have a clean RabbitMQ broker now, and I don't have, I'm able to run my unit tests with just a Docker image instead of actually keeping an instance of RabbitMQ running. So I'm loving the workflow. I'm loving where it's at. I'm not completely comfortable with it yet, but so far I'm pretty pleased with where it's going, and I can't believe that I'm like this late to the party. So it's everybody else is like, yeah, we've been there, dude. I've had definitely experience deploying container-based stuff to container-based environments, but not at this kind of developer productivity. So it's kind of cool. So I wanted to kind of go over some of the cool things and kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. So let's look at our Docker Compose file that we have set up here. We can see that we have RabbitMQ, which I've even configured the health check of running RabbitMQ control status to see if it's up and running. And you can see that in the Docker PS. It'll show healthy or unhealthy. There's a way to get that for .NET too, but I can't remember how to configure it yet. So anyway, sideways. I'm using my MassTransit SQL Server Quartz image. I'm running MassTransit Quartz latest. I'm still specifying the App Insights keys. So if I were to go out to App Insights right now, all the stuff that I've just done would be logged out there because I opted in just by adding that environment variable for that instance. I didn't have to go configure it. I didn't have to add it. If that environment key is seen, it will then add those assemblies to the pipeline and add that middleware and add those observers. So it isn't anything you have to configure. It's just buried away in the platform and done. If you don't have it, it doesn't put any of it around. I have my Quartz connection string for Quartz. Oh, why did I go over there? I'll do that again. Everything in this sample is running within the Twitch network. I created a Compose network called Twitch. So everything is in here, Mongo, the warehouse app, the sample app. They have the same keys, the same instrumentation keys. Don't use my key if you populate it with a bunch of stuff, whatever. I'll just go delete it anyway. But And then I'm saying Quartz is to be used for the scheduler for that, which automatically configures the message scheduler to be Quartz for that platform environment. So the next thing I wanted to do was show some of the benefits of this. So I'm going to jump up here to the top, and I'm going to add 2 more services, Prometheus and Grafana. So if you haven't heard of Prometheus and Grafana, they're pretty cool. Yeah, they're just really cool, actually. So Prometheus is a metrics capture tool. It will go out and capture metrics against your system, and it scrapes your endpoints. Grafana then uses Prometheus to display that stuff. So you can do prom queries against the Prometheus endpoints and use that data to create visualizations and dashboards of your running systems. So you can, that's like the spoiler. You get to see where this is going, but I can't paste code in here and not tell you what's going to happen. So I have a few other files that I'm going to open up just to kind of show here because I have to configure them. But by just adding these 2 images, I've added them to the compose, and they're part of our network now. I'm going to open another file, and that is Prometheus. Okay, so I blindly stole this, so it's all good. I'm going to change my scrape interval to like 5 seconds because I want to get really fast data. I don't know that I would ever put that in production, but you know, whatever. Don't need that, don't need that. Every config I've found for Prometheus or whatever is all cut and pasted, so apologize for the noise. It is what it is. We have our RabbitMQ server because Prometheus, RabbitMQ since 3.8 supports Prometheus natively, and I've enabled that plugin in my image. So I'm going to scrape those pieces of data from Prometheus with Prometheus from the RabbitMQ server. I'm using the RabbitMQ hostname. I already have a job name in here called Quartz. Our default scrape interval is 5, but I'm posting it here too, whatever. Static configs. And because I have that Quartz host name over here in the compose, it's going to know the host name of that machine to connect to, and port 80 is available, so it will get it. I'm going to create one for warehouse. The scrape interval is 5, and we're going to talk to warehouse on port 80. And we're going to create another job for, what was the other one? Sample. And that was sample port 80. If we look at our names, we have warehouse and we have sample, which were the 2 Docker images we created that were running for our service. Yeah, so I have warehouse, I have sample. So I'm now going to start scraping those services for data. So I will save out that Prometheus config. I will save out the Docker compose. Save. And now let's try to run it all. Hopefully it works. Okay, it's starting to work. You can see Grafana initializing, setting up its database. Quartz is running. We're getting a lot of stuff on here now. You can see that our API endpoint is over here still trying to connect to RabbitMQ like a good resilient service should. I think my next project is going to be to figure out the background Docker start stop commands to be able to not have to restart everything from scratch. I have an idea, but you know, once it's all up and running here in a second, we aren't going to spend a whole lot of time starting and stopping at this point. We already have our code up and running. Now you can see, if we look at the logs here, Quartz, sample, warehouse, they're all getting hit on this metrics endpoint. Let's see what that looks like. So this is part of the platform. It's automatically built in. If we go to, and I say platform, I'm meaning MassTransit Platform. If I hit that metrics endpoint, I'm getting all the Prometheus metrics. So this is everything that is scraped by Prometheus. And it has, so the only thing that's happened right now is my bus has started. I haven't pumped any data through here yet. So I can see that I have endpoints that are up, and they have the endpoint addresses. So MT endpoint service name is sample, the endpoint address. I just truncate it to the queue name because I don't want to get it too noisy. I don't need the broker and all that stuff. It's typically noise. I have a bus instance running for the service name sample, and that's about it. If I go to the warehouse service and look at their metrics, I have a bus, the service name is warehouse, and it has 3 endpoints: allocation state, allocation inventory. And if I go look at Quartz, Quartz has 2 endpoints. Well, Quartz and then the bus endpoint, which I don't know why I auto start that. I think I need to make sure I set that not to auto start, because that's kind of pointless. Nothing connects to it. I'm gonna fix that. That's a to-do. It goes on my to-do list. So we have all of this up and running now. Theoretically, I should be able to come in here to my console app and send 10 orders, have them process. We'll let those go. It's a good thing I have an external mic, because my fan on my laptop is just going absolutely crazy right now. It is just humming. I could not imagine using that. So we're still running. Looks like we had 10 to go. Okay, just what we expected. Every 5th one faults, or every 4th one faults, and everything else completes. We got our allocations. We've got our sagas executing. All of our database connections look good. It looks like everything's finally all set up right. We're rocking. We're still requesting our metrics. We're scraping every 5 seconds, which is a little fast, but that's okay. So by default, Grafana runs on port 3000. So we are going to log in. We're not going to bother changing our password, because honestly, do we really care? No, it's local. So this is Grafana. Grafana is running in one of the containers. I'm not going to do anything crazy. But I am going to go in and I'm going to manage my dashboards. And there are a number of default ones that were in that folder that I put out there. One obvious one is I can actually just go and look at RabbitMQ. I mean, this is a built-in dashboard of RabbitMQ. It shows me messages that are ready, message traffic. I can see disk space. I can see publisher. So this is the kind of thing, if you're really good at Grafana, that you can create. You can see messages published per second. You know, all of the metrics are out there. So let's go actually generate some load. I'm going to put like, let's try 30 orders. Let's not jump up to the 300 level yet, but we'll get there. We'll let those send out. We know the back end's pretty warmed up now. All the database engines, everything's compiled. All the code is good. Let's change our refresh interval. I guess 15 seconds is as low as we can go. I guess that makes sense though. But we can look at the messages, publishers, connections. We can see all the channels. All the RabbitMQ metrics are available right here in this dashboard. So I'm running, that's, you know, it lets you pick cluster. That's one of the variables they've set up, which I got to give a mad shout out to Drew Sellers, because he's spent way too many hours yesterday on the phone with me trying to get me to understand how Grafana works. Because the first time I ever launched Grafana was within the last 24 to 36 hours. So it's been kind of a jump start run to get into it, but I see the power, and it's pretty amazing. And I'm looking at the last 15 minutes as well. So you can see the traffic that's being generated. Looks like all my orders completed over there. I can see, you know, the different metrics, all the fun stuff. Anything in red is supposed to be bad. I don't know why that shows as red. Oh, that's like messages that are published that nobody's listening to. So like some of those routing slip events, like activity completed that nobody looks at. If we were catching them, we wouldn't have those. So it's like messages we're generating that nobody's listening to. But yeah, incoming messages per second. We can see the flow. You can see all these little gauges that they have set up. Pretty cool stuff. Let's create our own dashboard. And first, well, let's go back here to manage, because I did create one dashboard that had a little bit of stuff in it, but I'm not sure how good it's going to be right now. I don't know how to make it big enough to see. So this is one that I created that is, you can see all the message types in here, and this one actually has 2 different values in it. I'm going to simplify this because I think it's a little overkill for right now. I'm going to delete that and back out. So this is showing like how long consumers are taking to process different message types. So MassTransit now has a Prometheus assembly, and you can use it anywhere, but it's built into the platform. So all those little compose methods that had in the Docker compose that had mt_Prometheus and a name, just putting a service name there will enable Prometheus for any MassTransit Platform image. And that's making it so I can output these metrics. So those metrics that you saw in the browser, Prometheus is scraping those and then displaying them in here. So you can see how long consumers are taking to actually run and execute. And you can filter that by consumer type. You can see the different ones like allocation release requested, order submitted, allocation hold expired. And that's how long those messages are taking to consume. I don't know what the consume rate was. I think this was... no data for that, so I don't know what that one is. I delete that one. I'll delete that graph. I don't know that that's one that we could probably create a new one on. And this I'm not going to bore you with like me trying to learn Grafana, but if you're really good at Grafana, you can come in and make some really cool dashboards and share them with me, because that would be awesome. Let's create a new panel by starting with a query. And let's look at what kind of data is in here for MassTransit. So MassTransit has a bunch of different data. It can show routing slip activities in progress, consumer duration buckets, how many messages are consumed total, current consumers in progress, delivery duration. Delivery duration is actually kind of cool. I think I'm going to add one for that. And I think it will come up here in a second, and it'll say fix by adding a histogram quantile. I want to have like the duration seconds 5 there. And then what's the legend that I want? I think I want, am I able to get message type? I can't remember. I can't remember how I did this before. Mess with that later. So the question in the chat is, do all the metrics get pushed to App Insights too? So I don't know how App Insights does metrics, but all of the App Insights reporting for, so all the App Insights diagnostic source tracing stuff goes to App Insights. So that is all still there too. So I'm actually sending it to both right now. I can't remember entirely how to do this. I think I have to do like by message type, comma, LE. Then I think the legend is message or type. I'm going to spend a lot of time with some YouTube videos learning how all this stuff works, because I think it's really actually pretty cool. Go to the general and say this is message delivery duration. So the delivery duration is actually calculated from the time the message was sent to the time it was consumed. So this is going to show like latency in queues, or if messages are sitting around and taking forever to get processed. I think it's a pretty cool thing to show. I don't know why consumer type is not showing me more stuff there, but again, I've used Grafana less than 24 hours. And I already have a couple I think are pretty cool dashboards. So I don't know how to resize this thing. You're going to see me fumbling around for a little bit, but. So this is the consume duration, that's the delivery duration. I think it would be cool if you stacked those on top of each other, and that's what the other graph did, but it was too confusing to look at. But you can pick on any of these, allocation, release requested. I think we did have some traffic here. Let's just go ahead and put a little more traffic in the system. While that's running, I'll go ahead and log into Azure. Because the question that came up was, does this all still get written out to App Insights? And the question is yes, at least I think it does. It should be there. Sure, we have some information here. Yeah, we have data. Oh man, don't tell me SQL Server writes out data too. Oh yeah, all those scrapes of metrics, all that stuff is in there. I should probably do like some sort of filtered search. But like, yeah, all of the, so this is like a check order status. Yeah, so talking to the Saga is in there. All that stuff is still being written out to App Insights. So yeah, so that's good. All that stuff is still written out there. I don't want to see all these metrics. I want to see like an order fulfillment completed. Yeah, see, so here's like a really big one. So if I move this out of the way, you can see the entire call stack of our entire order processing. Why I'm seeing these, I have no idea. I mean, Quartz is used for scheduling, and oh, because some of these things are scheduled. Like I schedule a message for inventory allocation, and it actually, oh wow, it actually gets the data talking to SQL Server. That's sick. That means those activity IDs are correlating, and SQL Server is reporting to App Insights because it's configured. That's actually really cool. I mean, it's noisy as hell, but it's cool. I hadn't seen that before. Kind of neat. Learn something new every day. But yes, so to the answer to the question, yes, all the App Insights metrics are still being captured out there with the full call graph and everything. And you can opt into any one of these. You can see I'm getting some pretty good delivery durations cranking up here. You can see where your slow messages are. And again, I am not the brilliant Grafana master, but you know, let's crank this down to like the last 15 minutes so we spread the graphs out a little bit. I would probably like take RabbitMQs and add some of the boxes up there and add some, what else? You can add like .NET memory usage. There's all sorts of metrics in here. There's like .NET, total memory bytes. Awesome. We can see when we do garbage collection. That sounds cool. Yeah, now I have a .NET memory window that I can put down here or something like that and just kind of show how much RAM my different processes are using. But I can build all these together, and then you can save out the JSON of these and use those as templates for when you launch Grafana. So, and like here I would probably, like here's instance. So here's the different services. Instance, that's one that's automatically picked up by Prometheus when it knows which service it's talking to. So if I go in here for the label, I would probably just change the label to instance, or I would probably change it to job in this case, since it's a cleaner version of the name. Then go back out, and now I have which ones of my services are using how much RAM. You can see sample was using a lot, and now it's like tapered down, but now it's going up again. Yeah, it seems like those orders are working. What was my last request? How many did I do? 100? So if let's just give it 500 more. Why not, right? It shouldn't break. It's a durable, reliable system, right? If I didn't trust it, I wouldn't use it. So yeah, the consume duration here is just going to show who our slow consumers are. I think most of these are fairly quick. Yeah, I mean, they're almost flatline. We're at like the 0.075, so that's not a super great value. We could create like a gauge. So like metrics, MassTransit, just say consumer in progress, like how many consumers are currently running. And I think we would probably want our legend to be consumer type. This is probably going to recommend a different view. I would probably want to show this as like a stat. That sounds cool. Ooh. No, that's kind of lame. Bar gauge. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know that any of these are really cool. I don't know how some of these work even. Ooh, there we go. There's all our consumers. Like a dashboard, like legit dashboard. Ew, that's annoying. Ew, I don't want that. Guess graph it's gonna be. This will be like our active consumers view. And then we can shrink that down and see which consumers are more active. Clever. Probably want to make that a little bigger. Yeah, we can see which consumers are the most active, you know, especially if we had higher consumer counts for like logging, routing slip event consumer. Where's that bad boy? He's not doing anything right now, which here's the routing slip batch event consumer. not doing anything right now. Are we done already? No, we're still running. Ooh, we timed out. Oh, our HTTP responses timed out because they're all backlogged, which isn't a big deal because the code, the messages have been processed. So they're sitting in the queue. They're still processing, obviously. You can see that certain things, durations kick up. So anyway, I'm just kind of vamping right now. I mean, I think this stuff is cool. I think the data that you can get out of it is pretty neat. It's all running just with the inside the back here, scraping the data out of it. It looks like I finally finished. Yeah, my HTTP timeouts for the requests probably weren't high enough because a lot of those are just going to get backlogged behind all those. I need to think about how that app is sending all those requests. I'm going to put like some frequency change in and a little jitter in there to where it's like, okay, send a request and then wait. And so it kind of breaks it up versus just slamming 500 orders at the system at one time. But yeah, so I think it's cool stuff. You know, it's stuff that's going to be out of the box. If you opt in by specifying the environment variables, it's going to turn these capabilities on. If you don't specify like a service name for Prometheus, it isn't even going to enable that code. With the platform, I could just go set MT transport equal to SQS. And if I was running local stack as another container, I would be able to test it with Amazon SQS instead of RabbitMQ. Yeah. So hopefully this was cool. Definitely look for the bits when I get them out there. But yeah, metrics, dashboards, views, cool stuff. More to come. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.